Hey everyone, welcome to the Identity Love Podcast. I'm Tracy Konane. I am a life coach and identity specialist for folks who have lost themselves in life and their relationships and don't know how to be themselves. And I help you to not only understand what it's like to be yourself, but to enjoy and love the experience of being yourself. This is episode 20. This is actually the second time I'm recording this episode because I recorded it yesterday. And then I was done editing it and I was listening back through it and I realized I don't like the way I said it. I was a little under the weather still yesterday. We're doing this again. So episode 20, this is about a very casual, very chill, very shallow topic called what's the purpose of life? What is the purpose here? What is this driving force? This whole goal, this whole meaning of you being here. So I'm going to say this not as a guru, not as somebody who has it all figured out. I'm saying this as somebody who has answered this question of what is my purpose? What's my goal here in the context of partner pleasing and people pleasing. I didn't realize I was doing it while I was doing it. We never do. We always are coming from the best of intentions. We are trying to be our best selves. But when I first started off, I really just wanted to make everybody happy and to be my best self in accordance to what other people wanted of me. And I thought that that was the meaning, the purpose of living a good life, of being alive as a human. Was to just make everyone around you happy, because then you'll be happy and you'll live a good life. What is the point of living if you're not leaving the world a better place, right? What's the point of living if you're not trying your best and becoming your best self? This all sounds wonderful and upstanding and amazing, and it is intention-wise. But when you look at the actual results of when you are using that as your main philosophy, as your main purpose to live, you will see that it does not quite add up to expectation. When I was trying my hardest to just be as happy making as possible, meaning in my situation, I was trying to always be positive, always be that person that everybody wants around, the one who always brings the fun, always brings the good vibes, always has good energy, because then I thought I'm doing my job. I'm just making the world a better place. I'm pleasing others, and others will want me around because they approve of me and they love the way that I'm making them feel. And I would admire people who always seem to have this going, who always seem to be happy and fun and cheerful and funny and happy-go-lucky and easygoing and upbeat. And I was jealous of that because I had been a kind of sullen, shy, a little bit of an emo, a little bit of an angry, quiet teen. And so in my late teens and early 20s, I had this goal where I just really wanted to bring the joy and to just be a happy person that people liked. And what happened was not only did I figure out years down the line, as I started to get to know about the world and people more, that all these so-called always happy people always have something hidden, always have something going on, either with themselves or in their lives or whatever, that is going to not be all that happy. There might be something that I would never trade for that personality. Nobody is living a perfectly happy life. We might subconsciously be thinking there is a point where we will get to that we will find this happy space where you're happy 24/7 and you don't have to try hard anymore to be happy. You just will be happy because you arranged all these things in your life, namely pleasing people in the right way, to make you happy, to make you feel happy. And that's not how it works. Life is always going to be ups and downs, and there's nothing that we can do about it. That is outside of our control. So the goal of being happy, that being the purpose of life, does not work. Yes, in theory it works. Of course you want to strive for happiness. Of course you want to strive to make things in your life better. I'm not saying don't strive for that, But that is not the main purpose of you as a human being, an individual being put here. And even the idea of striving to be your best self, that was my second pursuit, where I was thinking, I'm going to go and just figure out how to be my best self in all areas of my life, because that means I would have theoretically self-actualized. I would be my best self, and I can die knowing that I have reached the epitome of what I could be. That just sounds great, right? That makes sense. On a Maslow's hierarchy of needs psychological scale, that makes a lot of sense. The only problem was the way I was doing it, because self-growth, and this is usually what they say when you Google what's the meaning or purpose of life, there's usually an article that says something about it being about self-growth and actualizing and growing into yourself more and more. So it is correct to want to grow and become your best self as a purpose, but it's the way you're doing it. The way that I was doing it is probably the way that you're experiencing your life right now, which is you're trying really hard to be your quote unquote best self by being your best self for everybody else. Of course, I go into this in depth in all the other episodes of this podcast. I'm not going to go too far into it here, but basically we can agree that living to please others and to live up to everyone else's standards to get their approval and admiration isn't ever going to lead to our own satisfaction and fulfillment, our own inner enjoyment. And it is outside of our control. So someone else is always controlling the way that we feel about ourselves. So what I wanted to talk about here is this idea of the purpose of your life, to have a good life, to do life in a meaningful way that fulfills you and makes you look back on your life feeling proud and feeling good, is to enjoy being yourself. Not to enjoy yourself, meaning going out and just following anything that is pleasurable and just eating all the things and having a hedonistic lifestyle. It's not about enjoying yourself. It is enjoying being yourself, meaning enjoying this unique experience of being you. This might sound a little cheesy, but when you think about it and when you hear people saying there's only one of you in the history of humanity, there is only you with your own unique personality and tastes and perspectives and background and dreams and desires and interests and quirks. There is only one of you in the history of humanity. There might be people who have similar backgrounds or whatever, or similar interests, but they're not going to have that unique recipe and flavor that you and only you have. Okay, I just want you to think about that, about how unique you are. Don't judge it. I want you to just think about this, that there is only one of you. And so to spend our lives trying to not become what we are and express this unique flavor of what we are, and instead to dull it down and worry about if we're being enough for somebody else, that is weakening the purpose of being a unique individual. Because think about it, what sets us apart from animals, what sets humans apart from other animals, is that we have a unique individual identity. Zebras, in order to just be a good zebra, you have to just follow what all the other zebras are doing, and that's it. Humans are not going to be happy like that. We're not going to be happy. It's been scientifically proven that this is detrimental to everything about us, our emotions, our mental health, everything. Not being an individual is detrimental to us because we're human. To be human is to enjoy being an individual. Feeling special as yourself. It is not selfish. It is not vain to want to feel special as yourself. In fact, this is what so many of us are yearning for, which is why we're clinging and trying to please for others. We're trying to feel special by trying to get somebody else to see us as special. And that's what our driving force is. I didn't explain in the beginning why this is so important to know what your defining purpose of your life is. But it is because whether you're aware of it or not, you are being driven by something that you believe is your purpose. Like I said, for me, I was driven by thinking, I need to make other people happy. I need to be the best in other people's eyes. So maybe in your case, you might be subconsciously driven by thinking, I need to be the nicest person ever. I need to not rock the boat. I need to just go along to get along. I need to prove myself to my parents. I need to just be the best partner ever. I'm here to make my family happy, to only please certain people, or to do all the right things so I can find romance, so I can find that partner. We are being driven by something that we think we need to do that is the purpose of our life. As humans, we want our life to make sense. This is why we don't like it when things feel bizarre and absurd and we're in some kind of weird David Lynchian Alice in Wonderland thing, because everything's just weird and nothing makes sense. It drives us crazy. We want things to make sense. So subconsciously, we are being driven by something that we told ourselves is the purpose of us, that we need to be doing this to get to this. And it makes it so complicated because we're over here trying to control that which we do not have full control over. And we are not experiencing the fullness of our own life while doing so. So back to us being a one-of-a-kind individual. There might be parts of this individual person that you are that early on or throughout your life, you have been told that there is something that's not good enough about that. It is not attractive. You have to change it. You have to adjust it. You have to think about what other people are going to want and what would be most attractive to somebody else. This is not only taking away from our experience of life and our experience of ourselves, but it's also not getting us where we really want to go. What if we just focused on ourselves and to have in your lifetime made the effort to uncover yourself and to explore yourself and express yourself and to do things purely for the purpose of getting to experience who you truly are before your life is over. Imagine getting to the end of your life and looking back and realizing you never got a chance to fully experience what it's like to be yourself. That you never got a chance to enjoy this unique individual that you have been put here as. And then instead you spent your whole life just trying to get approval of people who are not even really alive anymore, probably, or they're old too. And then that's it. What is life? Life is an experience. Life is an experience. I don't think anyone would argue with saying that they just want to feel good about themselves. That they just want to feel good being themselves. What's the point of getting all the money and all the love and all the sex and all the riches in the world if at the end of the day you still don't feel good being yourself? You feel restricted. You feel like nobody truly sees the real you. You feel like you have to keep upkeeping and your emotions are constantly on edge because you're trying so hard to hold on to all these great things that are so-called great, but they're not actually giving you what we all deeply truly want. All of us, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we can vocalize it or not, whether we can even realize it. We're all being driven by just wanting to genuinely feel good about ourselves. This is why people chase the riches. This is why people strive so hard to get the love, to get the perfect marriage and house and life. This is why we're all striving, because we just want to feel good about being ourselves. But we're never going to truly get this genuine good feeling about ourselves if we are trying to do it in a way that is avoiding and ignoring and shoving down and diminishing and denying our own unique self inside, that we have our own unique identity, that we have something that only we know that we have, that we need to do in order to feel expressed as ourselves. And I'm probably going to go into this into detail on another podcast, but it's the idea of attracting somebody, about having love, right? A lot of this is about relationships. And I have a lot of people that I'm working with as a coach who come to me and they are either looking for love or trying to hold on to the love in their own relationship. They're trying to figure out how do they need to be in order to find the love of their life? What do they need to do? What's the right way to do things? And they're trying to predict who it is that they're going to find and what they might like. And even with our partners, we're trying to predict, well, down the line, are they going to be happy with me if I do this and that? When in actuality, what if you don't have to be partner pleasing this future person that you don't even know about, and you just have to focus on being the fullest expression of yourself? Don't you want your current partner or your future partner to find you being the most engaged and the most interested and the most lit up from the inside out and the most dedicated to your own life as possible? Don't you think that your most compatible, most healthily compatible partner is going to be enthralled by this person that you are when you are in full bloom of your identity, when you're pursuing things in your life that make you come alive, when you're doing things in your life that make sense to you, when you are this full person who has all these things going on and you're interesting and you are lit up? Wouldn't that make sense that your future person or your current person is going to, if they're compatible and healthy for you, that they are going to love seeing that? And that thus, in order to set us up for the best possible relationship, no matter what, we need to put full focus on trying to enjoy and bring to the surface and express and explore this experience of being a unique individual on the planet, and express it in a way that we know is right for us. No matter how dorky, weird, inexplicable, awkward, misunderstood by the current people in your life, or small, different, whatever it is, no matter what it looks like, you have to do it for yourself and start to give yourself enjoyment of being you. So often we don't know where to start. We don't know how to enjoy being ourselves because we've never even questioned. We never even thought that was important. We never even thought that that would give us anything of substance when it is everything. It really is everything. I remember just being so jealous of people who were enjoying their life because they're out doing their own unique stuff, expressing themselves in their own unique way, making a difference, being the kind of person I most wanted to be deep inside. I was so jealous of that. And instead of trying to find my own expression and become more of that as myself, I instead tried to make my partner see me in a great light. I was trying to just please him. So it's kind of like a surrogate way of trying to feel good as myself, is trying to get someone else to see me in a great light, when what I most need to do, and what we all most need to do, is to start to do our own life, to be our own self in a way that makes us feel attracted and lit up to who we are being. And oftentimes after people pleasing for so long, we don't know where to start. We think that the way to go and please ourselves is to go and drop a ton of money on something that is glitzy or something like that. Or we gotta go take a trip to somewhere tropical and beautiful, or we have to go and pamper ourselves. But when you're enjoying being yourself, it does not necessarily have to be this extravagant way. So it's less about the what that you're doing, right? It's less about the things that you are doing, the things that you choose to do for yourself. And it's so much more about how and why and who you're being while you are doing it. Because I know from the past that I can easily start to try to do better things for myself, try to eat right, try to do things that I think I should be doing if I'm a fully expressed person, like wearing cool, colorful things that I think an artsy, expressive person should wear. But if I am doing it still to kind of just to do it and wait for it to affect me and wait for something to happen, instead of doing it from a place of already enjoying doing it, of seeing it as something within my own power, as seeing it as something important. If I'm not already allowing it to be something enjoyable and big to me in the moment, I'm missing the point. This is why I've struggled in the past with my clothing and my morning routine and my exercise. I did all these things that I thought a good version of me should be doing, and I would stop doing it after a week because I wasn't seeing any external proof that it was working. I was waiting for it to make me feel like $1 million, and it wasn't working because I was waiting for it to make me feel like $1 million. What I'm trying to say here is when you are choosing to do something for yourself, you have to allow yourself to see it as the enjoyment within itself. When you're starting to be more of yourself, whether it is doing something that only makes sense to you, whether it is pursuing something you always said meant a lot to you, whether it is just something small like starting a new habit in your life, you have to see this as something that is enjoyable right off the bat, that it is something that you have full control over. Remember how I talked about everything on the outside? We can't control anything out there. We can't control anything out there. This is why we feel crazy. So we have to take pride and joy in what we do have control over. We have to see this as empowerment instead of a chore. The main purpose is to discover yourself and to realize and bring yourself to the surface in a way that is visible so you feel like you have expressed yourself fully and lived fully as yourself for yourself in this life. A lot of the times, we think of something that means a lot, that we would enjoy doing, that would bring us fulfillment and meaning, big or small. And immediately we think, well, I'm not sure if that's really going to work, meaning I'm not sure if it's going to benefit humanity or if it's going to work and go the way that I thought it would. And people might think certain things about me. And I don't know if that's what the right thing is, meaning we write it off because we're thinking about it from an external context of how is it going to, like, what if I fail? What if I don't do it well? We're making it mean something about what it looks like to everybody else, when what it is we have to start to see that we have to do this thing. We have to do all these things that we feel like are bits and pieces of our true soul, simply because it's a part of us and we are alive right now, and we have to express these parts of ourselves, because if we feel invisible, it's on us to make ourselves visible first and foremost to ourselves. Kind of like these podcasts. I can think, oh my gosh, how many people are actually listening to this? Is this actually the best I can do? Am I actually making a huge impact in the world? And measuring it by that. Or I can focus on, I am doing this podcast also because my soul is drawn to doing this podcast. And I know that by putting it out there and by doing this every week, I'm doing something that is meaningful and making myself feel visible to myself first. And then, yes, to the world. But that's really scary to think about, right? So it has to be twofold. This is also for me because this is how I truly feel. This is my true passion. This is my soul speaking every week, and just to get it out there and just to see myself. So part of this is for myself. That's one example. Another recent example, other than my Vegas trip, which was my previous episode where I talk about this and the effects of it. Pom-pom making. I've recently gotten into making pom-pom balls, not the cheerleading kind, but the little round ones that you put on the knitted hats. I like anything that is fuzzy and round, and I have been pursuing making these pom-poms because I never knew how to properly make one. And there's no rhyme or reason behind it in a logical adult way. There's no rhyme or reason behind it In fact, this is why I put it off for so long, was I kept thinking, what's the point? If you're not going to sell it, is it going to make you money? Is it going to impress anybody? Does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense other than my soul was drawn to all these Pinterest pictures of these colorful pom-pom balls with all these different patterns and colors, and I wanted to do it. So I had to honor it and go to Joann's and buy the yarn and buy the pom-pom ball makers and watch the YouTube video and learn how to make pom-poms and feel the subtle but nice glowing enjoyment of doing something just for me. And to ignore the voice in my head that said, yeah, but what's the point of this? Are you going to make money out of this? Does this get you anywhere in life? It gives me a sense of being myself, of enjoying a part of me that only makes sense to me. And now that I started making these pom-poms, I've been kind of sick this past weekend. So I was just laying in bed watching this YouTube video of this woman make a yarn rug. And I felt my soul perk up and be like, oh, that'd be cool to try. So now it's starting to lead me in a new step that I didn't even know existed until I started to experiment with yarn. So that's just a small example of following something that is you and making yourself visible in your own life and doing things not for the purpose ultimately to get anywhere per se or get anything per se, except to enjoy and express and see yourself being you in your own life. And that in itself is incredibly healing. And it is so much more fulfilling than it might sound when you are stuck in the high and the chase of people pleasing. I know that the people pleasing sounds so much more active and involved and sure and exciting, but also misery making, right? There is another way to live your life and to focus on creating the version of yourself that you most want to be for yourself and to get to experience that before you die, to get to experience what it's like to be fully you in a way that you love. Because when you are pursuing yourself and when you are trying to just focus on allowing yourself to enjoy being yourself, allowing yourself to have your little moments, to have your little quirks, to have little inside jokes with yourself and have this close relationship to yourself, it is going to make you like and love being yourself. You're going to turn into a completely different version of yourself. It is going to change your emotions. It is going to change the way that you present yourself to the world, who you are. It is going to change everything because you no longer feel so restricted and so caged and so worried and so preoccupied with everybody else. I am still on my journey. I am still getting closer and closer and closer and working hard at it each year. But I can already feel the huge difference it has made on me and my life and my relationships. And the more that I focused on who I most wanted to be and to express myself and my preferences and interests as myself, as this identity that is uniquely mine, the more things in my life I got that I've always wanted. My relationships are so much more compatible now, friendships and romance, and just the people that are coming into my life and the things that are happening. And before, I used to think that I had to try so hard to get this stuff, when all I had to do was to try hard for myself, to try for me, to focus on what I wanted to experience myself as, because life is just an experience. What else is life but an experience? And there's so much outside of our control. So when we are feeling good about ourselves, when we feel fully expressed, the more curveballs and things that life is inevitably going to throw at us, the better we are going to handle it when we are already feeling solid and fulfilled within us. Of course, my goal is to have better things in my life. Of course, I care a lot about my relationship. Of course, I care about my career and what my life is like and all the external stuff that I ultimately don't have full control over. Of course, I still want and care about that. But I primarily focus on me growing into me and expressing myself as myself and moving through life, experiencing myself in a better and better, more loving, more fully expressed way. And then pursuing all these things from this this identity that I have. And it changes everything. So, again, I am not a philosopher. I actually do have my undergrad degree in philosophy, but the reason why I make this episode in the way that I have is geared specifically towards you and I, folks like us, because we need to hear that this is what it is that we've been looking for. That when we do this, we are going to feel everything that we thought we needed to get from everyone else. We're going to feel it first. I actually feel loved and special as myself without my boyfriend having to say anything. He could be having a bad day. In fact, he's kind of stressed this week. He's been a little grumpy recently, and it hasn't affected the way that I feel about myself at all. In the past, this would have really brought me down. I would have felt the weight on my shoulders. I would have felt like I needed to do something differently, and I would have really been hyperfixated on clinging onto him and trying to get my good feelings from him and thinking about all the things that must be wrong with me that's not good enough. And now I am just in my own world, focused on myself and doing things in my life that I feel like are fulfilling for me. And that makes me feel so much more present and peaceful and attentive to him when he is open to it and when I can be there reasonably for him. I'm not over here pandering to him. So that's what I wanted to say. The purpose of life is to enjoy being yourself, to enjoy the experience of being yourself and to figure out what that feels like, to discover what that is for you. This is what I help you do. Send me a DM, book a free consult if you want this in your life, if you want me to help you find these things, your own unique self, and to hold you in it and to grow you into it. This is everything that I do. I encourage you to redefine it in ways that make sense to you. There is no rules to this. This is only about starting to bring your attention back to yourself and feel into yourself and live more truly as yourself. This is the point of being human, of being a good human. And remember, just a side benefit of doing this is that the more fulfilled you are, the loved ones, the people in your life are going to see this, and people that you don't even know yet that are going to come into your life that you're going to love. They're going to see this version of you and they're going to be inspired by it. They're going to love it. They're going to be attracted to it because you are already being something that is attractive and alive and enjoyed by you, for you, as this unique individual human who is alive right now and who is living their purpose because they are being their fullest self. Okay, episode 20, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you next week on episode 21. All right, have an amazing week. Bye.